You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the January 12th meeting of the Michigan City Board of Aviation Commissioners. You can find more information for this meeting at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
I'd like to call the Board of Aviation Commissioners meeting January 12, 2023 to order. Members present, myself, Kirk Hunter, T.Y. Okerson, Jeff Bartlett, and Greg Poulin, also present. Paul Schaefer from BFNS, and Jessica Ward, our airport manager. All members are present. Reading of the November 17th meeting was, I was here for that one. I remember I recognized everything. Did anybody have anything to change on that?
No, I thought the minutes were fine. Make a motion to accept the minutes for the November meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Election of officers. Can I nominate?
Yeah, anybody can nominate anybody.
All right.
Open nominations.
I nominate T.Y. Okerson. T.Y. would accept the sword of Damocles over his head for the next year.
Well, I'd like to accept, but I'm not interested at this time. So I really appreciate it. So I'd like to nominate Jeff.
I'll accept.
Okay.
And then we need the other ones?
Yep, vice president, secretary, treasurer.
Who wants vice president? Kurt, you want it?
Sure.
I'll nominate you, Kurt, for vice president.
Okay.
Which one would you like, T.Y.?
I'll take secretary.
And
Oh, now he gets to do all the minutes.
Here we go.
You picked the wrong one.
That's all right. I'm not ready. I just, I think I have a lot of stuff I'm doing right now, so I think it's.
Who can second? Anybody?
Second that.
As listed.
President Jeff Bartlett, vice president Kirk Hunter, secretary T.Y. Okerson, and treasurer Greg Poulin.
Can I get a vote to approve each? Do we need to approve each one?
No, you can just approve them all.
Let's approve them all. I need a motion to.
A motion, he seconded. Now you just asked.
Oh, all in favor of the nominees?
Aye.
Motion carried. Congratulations.
Jeff. Way to go, man.
I demand a recount probably.
No, we're good.
Financials, please, Jessica.
All right, account balances. So I gave you two different financial reports. I gave you December 31st, 2022, end of year account balances, and then I gave you the current account balances for this year too. So we'll start with this year's. All of our beginning balances are in there. If you take a look at those, that's all of our starting balances. We only have a few items that came out in our January agenda. Usually we just pay utility bills or things that kind of are pressing. So we don't have very many things that came out so far in January. So if you want to look at that. All minor transfers and encumbrances were completed for the 2022 budget. I actually have those listed. Encumbrances from last year included $394,813 for our new maintenance building construction that came out of the riverboat from the request to the council. $800,000 for our hopeful new above ground fuel tank construction. That also came out of the riverboat with the council approving. $3,438 for airport hangar light installation. If you guys remember, we got the new lights put in, the LED lights down in that hangar. I want to get some put in this hangar as well, so I did a encumbrance for that. And then $15,440 for our raise grant cost benefit analysis to Butler Furman and the Cypher. That's if the city decides to go the route that we want to apply for the raise grant. We're going to have a workshop with the council and the mayor and the controller and our board. And Paul will be there as well with a couple people from his team, or at least one, right, Katie? And so we're gonna sit down and figure out whether it's good for the city to apply for the raise grant for a portion of the extension project. So I encumbered the money just for the cost benefit analysis. That's kind of like the first thing that you wanna do if we do wanna go that route, to make sure that we have a positive, cost benefit analysis. And then, those are all of our encumbrances from last year.
Question, excuse me, Jessica.
Sure.
Paul, the 15,000, is that included in the $30,000 estimate of, okay, thank you, of the cost of applying for the grant? Okay.
I don't think so, it's actually 45, I think.
Well, it's included in that task order.
Yeah, it's included in the task order, but the task order ended up being more than 30,000, once we put together the task order. So yeah, so it is included, but not in the 30,000.
You were too agreeable with the number, Kurt.
Hey, like that number? Here, how about this number?
Yeah, right? So yes and no.
All right, so I'm sorry.
No, that's it. So, I mean, if anybody has any questions, I put our airport projects down at the bottom of our list here in January. So you can see our buildings, got the 394,813 for Riverboat, if you see like the airport projects line. Fuel farms, 800,000. The BIL fed, bipartisan, well, that's 7,950, that's a local match. But we added that actually into the building, so that, you know, like that is added in as well for the local match. And then everything is right there, so. There you have it.
Fuel sales, I'm sorry, oh, you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question on the overtime.
Yes.
Is there a way that we can get, like a new hire, somebody to, you know?
So we actually, in our budget for this year and last year, we have 2 part-time linemen in our budget already.
Okay.
So we, quite a few times a year, they'll put it out, you know, saying that we have the position available, and then people can apply for it. So I was talking to Yvonne this year, because last year we had no applications that were acceptable for the position. So we talked to Yvonne, and she says that next year, we're gonna try and get a full-time lineman position in there instead of 2 part-time, because people, you know, it's easier job to fill is a full-time position with benefits than a part-time position, in the city. So, but if there's any other, you know, kind of positions that you'd be suggesting, that's something that we have to go to the mayor, let them know why it's important, the controller, they have to approve it, then it goes to the council for their approval. And so it's a process to add any new positions.
I'm asking it because I notice you guys are often overwhelmed, right?
Yeah.
With, you know, snow, and then during the summer, it's just hell, cutting grass, right?
It's a lot.
So, and I think I remember talking to you about having somebody in-house who would help with doing all kinds of chores, like, you know, making calls to
Yeah.
do activities on the airport
Yeah,
while
we
you
talked
guys
about
are free to do
Yeah.
other things. I think that would be really cool to think about, you know, airport improvability in terms of like what the port does. You know, we could be doing a whole lot of
Events.
you know, here at the airport, you know.
Yeah.
So,
And we
it seems to
actually-
me having an additional person
Yeah.
to coordinate that would be very helpful, you know. And then, of course, give you guys a hand in doing all kinds of
Yeah.
things too, right?
Yep, that's something that, we definitely can take in consideration, and like even the 2 positions that we're gonna have, if we do like a full-time lineman and then a part-time person, like you're saying, you know what I mean? Like just have, you know, those 2 positions split into 2 different things. Because the positions for the city, it's like you get, you know, kind of like what your job description is, and you have to pretty much go by that, you know, like, so we can't hire a lineman that does that. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, we'd have to have like a whole job description put together for something like that. And I will say though, we do have a new event coordinator for the city. He's been here a couple of years, and he's put together, like, he is more focused on huge, like, things down at the beach, things like that. But he said that he does have more open availability to work with other departments now that he's kind of got everything under his, you know, belt, and work with other departments to get different events at different places as well.
What's his name?
Terry Greetham is his name.
I met
Last name?
He's
Greetham, Greetham. So
Really nice
yes.
guy, very passionate. I think he would really help
Oh,
out here at the airport.
he's really great.
He's good with the parade.
Yeah, so I've talked to him about, helping out with at least getting a pancake breakfast, some other thing going, maybe some other nonprofits want to do, events here, like some sort of like Christmas type event I thought would be kind of cool, so we talked kind of through that, so. But he does have availability opening up a little more to pull on other department ideas as well, so that's good. Anything else?
Fuel cells,
Fuel sales. Overall, we sold 550.4 gallons of 100 Rolex, 74 gallons of Jet A, and 117.1 gallons of Swift fuel in December. So our overall, in 2022, we sold 30,105.8 gallons of Jet A, which was a decrease of 18% from 2021. 23,144.8 gallons of avgas, which was an increase of 15% from 2021, and 3,112.3 gallons of UL94, which was a 29% increase from 2021. Our current fuel prices are $5.23 for full-service avgas, $4.78 for self and full-service Jet A, $6.75 for self-service UL94. Our full-service avgas is 97 cents less than the port, $1.22 less than Porter Regional. Our self-service Jet A is the same as Stark County, and our full-service Jet A is 47 cents less than the port and 70 cents less than Porter Regional.
So the UL is being subsidized by Flight Saga. Is that the idea?
So you know what?
Or
Flight-
other people buying this?
Other people are. I mean, I would say it's probably 50-50
Okay.
for, what they buy compared to what other people buy as well.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he is dead set on only using that. He will only use that fuel in all of his airplanes. So he loves that fuel. But yeah, I can do a printout next month just so you can see each month what he bought compared to what was bought by other
I'm just
pilots.
surprised that, I
Because
mean,
it
the
is
price is
interesting.
going up.
I know.
And yet people are buying this.
Yep.
So,
We have a great price on that 100 Rolex.
We do.
Compared to everybody else.
yeah.
We really do. Yep. I bought it when it was the best. I mean, and it's been going up since, yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Okay, Jessica, how about, talk about the sheet metal door?
Oh, sure. Ramsey Sheet Metal. You guys remember Ramsey Sheet Metal? Yes.
Very good.
They finally came out to install the door support arms on our overhead door on the maintenance hanger. So we have those two support arms on there. It's the purpose of transferring a portion of the load back to the angle tracks on each side of the door, for those engineering folks out there. They came out in 2020 to reattach the hangar door, which was pulling away in the horizontal plane from the main building structure. So they did that, and this was the second part of the project. They did like $6,800 worth of work, and this was the rest of the work. We encumbered this money back in 2019 for this, but if you remember, COVID hit, he lost a lot of his workers. He ended up retiring, Logan Ramsey, who was the owner, and so it just kind of got put on the back burner for their company, and so they finally came out and finished the project. That was exciting.
Nice.
So yeah, we're all set there. Jet A self-service pulser repair. We did have an issue with our pulser on the jet fuel. The fuel farm was kind of not the same as what it should have been sent over to the fuel master. So it was off on the gallons purchased between the two. So I actually called Northern Indiana Mechanical, asked them to fix it. They weren't super comfortable doing that for the aviation part. So then I called Tim Frame. Tim Frame, I love that guy. He's the one that's over at the Port Authority. Gosh, is he amazing. So I said, hey Tim, you have fuel over there? Who works on things like this? And he said, Oscar Larson, give him a call. And I did, and boy, were they out here right away and got that fixed for us. So we're all set there now. And that was one of the bills that we have on this.
Any other fallout from those buildings?
No.
Okay.
New paid holiday added for city employees. The mayor has added additional paid birthday holiday for city workers. My birthday's in January. I was so excited. So that started this year. I actually took mine one day last year already, or last week already, because my birthday falls on payroll day. Of course, I can't take off anyways. So you can use it any time in the month of your birthday. So that was pretty exciting. City workers are pretty excited about that. So I got like a bunch of happy birthday messages because they thought that it was my birthday. Yeah, so I'm like, oh, it's actually the 23rd, but thank you, it's a month. I'm only 40. 40 this year.
It's the day it is.
Yeah, babies.
I don't feel it.
election year.
SWIP annual water sampling testing results have been submitted to the state. Environmental Inc., remember I hired them, last year was their first, 2 years ago, 2021 was the first year that they came out. I would normally like climb in ditches, sample ourselves, send it up for testing. Test America was hard, you have to get it in the same day, they have to run it some other state, it was a nightmare. So Environmental Inc., also Tim Frame gave me their information. They came out last month to collect our annual water samples for submittal to the state for our storm water prevention pollution plan. Each year he collects the samples, sends the samples for testing, prepares the stormwater discharge monitoring reports, and then submits them to IDEM for the airport. All I have to do is sign on the line.
Where do you go? Just some sporadic location?
They just
They have two.
they just fill it up from the kitchen there in the back.
No, we have 2 discharge ports. We have one kind of as you're driving in, there's a ditch right there, and then the other one is all the way on the outside of our fence.
Just those two.
Yeah, kind of by the old FSI hangar where the maintenance
Who
is.
designates those, the state?
Yeah, IDEM.
They just come out and say, this is where you gotta.
They say these are the 2 places that we get tested. Yeah,
Who did it?
so that was awesome. And that's, I think, all I have there.
Paul, you're up. Airport development, please.
Yeah, well, we don't have any formal action items, just reporting on where we're at here. The runway extension project, we're really kind of on hold while we wait for money. Everything else is done, except for the Leslie property swap. We still need to finish that up with Bill. But all the paperwork's drafted and that jazz. Jessica was talking about the RAISE grant. I went ahead and copied the current costs for the project with just the runway portion of the CIP. Everything else on the CIP was subtracted out. And so what we're talking about is basically trying to seek some funding help outside the FAA program. RAISE is not, the FAA program is the best program going at 90% federal funds, with the 10% being 5 from you and 5 from NDOT. But in RAISE world, it's 80% Fed and 20% others. It doesn't have to be all airport, it could be a combination of city, riverboat, airport, whatever. So the workshop with the council that Jessica talked about, we'll talk about that. So it's clear the road and the utilities are all eligible under RAISE, no questions asked. The runway itself, there is an exclusion in RAISE for quote-unquote airport projects because we have our own pot of money. But they do say they can fund airport projects if it's an ancillary project to the project at hand. So that's why this project's being retitled to US Highway 20 Safety and Access Improvements. And then the runway is an ancillary project to the US 20 project. So that's the angle with the RAISE program. I'm gonna be honest with you, I think it's a Hail Mary. But, you know, the FAA's program is still looking pretty tight for the next several years. And I just, you know, I don't think we should just sit here and count that the FAA is going to start it now when they say they're going to start it, which is 25.
So the RAISE grant is an annual application? I mean, and how many people usually apply for this?
Lots. I can't remember the exact numbers, Jeff, but it's well over 600 applicants nationwide, and
Okay.
I think 40 were successful last year. And they're typically around the $20 million mark, so the road and the utilities kind of fit nicely under that, and the whole project could, it's within striking distance either way.
So how much stuff can we use in the application process, such as the EA and all those other things?
The EA is done, the road lowering, basically design is done.
So it would be, they would just shift over, they would just use what we've already bought, paid for.
Exactly. The only difference is if you remember, the FAA allowed us not to do a benefit cost analysis. Not that the raise people would use the same one anyway.
Right.
But we got out of that with FAA because the FAA says you do benefit cost analysis if it's a capacity project and you're using more than $10 million in discretionary. Well, we're using more than $10 million in discretionary, but it's not a capacity project. This is considered a safety project because it's a RPZ, runway protection zone correction. So the capacity related dollars of this whole project is only about $3 million, well under the threshold. So that's why the FAA let us pass on that. But the raise people, that's a requirement to do it. And the big question is it's a different calculation than the way the FAA would do it. And we're not exactly sure it will pass, to be honest with you. So the first step, but it's a lot of work to come up with the number.
Right.
That's not right. So then the first step is basically kind of let's see what the BCA looks like, and if it looks favorable, then we apply, which is basically the applications are due every April. So then we're obviously not going to hit this April's deadline by the time we get the BCA then. It would be April 24 and see how it competes. And it's going to need, Jeff, you picked an excellent year to become president because it's going to need a lot of legislative support. So we are going to need to be talking to our legislators. There's some things on the state end of this as well that are already ongoing that I need you to start on tomorrow. So, but
Tomorrow.
Oh, that's why you're here.
well,
I'm getting cut.
the thing of it, so anyway, that's the raise situation. I don't know if we've got a date yet on the workshop.
We do
but
not,
we will.
but we will.
Yeah. So that's raise funding. I'll go ahead and talk about the state money as well here. You may have seen, I don't know how many of you get the Aviation Indiana emails, but Aviation Indiana is working on, there's two actual bill numbers that relate, and then the House Bill 1001 is the state budget. There's aviation impact in all of those. House Bill 1001, Representative Cherry is trying to get a $25 million line item into the Airport Development Grant Fund that would be used for the state 50/50 program. That's in the budget bill. There is a state surplus, and we, back in July, wrote a letter asking for your entire runway to be included in the budget as a state line item. To my knowledge, we've had no legislators take us up on that. But right now's the time to give a call and say, legislator, can you get us in addition to the Aviation Indiana money? If we end up costing Aviation Indiana money, getting it kicked out and our project then, we're probably going to take off out of every airport in the state, but it's worth a shot, so.
That lady that used to come here, who's now in the House,
Pat Boy.
Pat Boy, that's a good person.
She's good.
Yeah, we actually we reached out to her and Bart talked to her and he sent me a text letting me know that she'll probably reach out to me about some of the House bills that he's talking about. So we are kind of working on that with her right now.
Good.
So I don't know if a legislator is actually going to put in a line item for Michigan City with the other bills in play. So the other bills in play is there's the $25 million in the budget ask. Then there's the, basically, there's another bill that in Indiana, there is 1 cent per gallon on every gallon of gas that's pumped that goes into a fund called the Leaky Underground Storage Tank Fund. And it's basically it's a fund that pays for cleanups. So everybody pays a fee into that as well to register your tanks and so forth, plus the cent per gallon. for $50,000, it's a $50,000 deductibles on the local community, and then after that, all of the cleanup would come out of that fund, all of the eligible cleanup. So the bill basically would say, and historically, aviation puts in about $2 million a year. And in the last 20 years, we've only drawn $3 million in 20 years. So you can see, we put in about $40 million, and we've only got $3 million back out of it. And so the pitch is, at the end of the year, IDEM will transfer whatever wasn't used for aviation over to the Airport Development Grant Fund, which would also be used for state 50/50 program projects. Fuel farms are one of those. So it'd be, the idea is stop having aviation subsidized gas station cleanup is basically what it is. That's the pitch. IDEM, of course, doesn't like this because anything that's going to take money out of that account, they're going to be against. So IDEM is a clear opponent. There's probably going to be others. The Gas Stations Association, I'm guessing, won't like it.
Right.
So we'll see. Is it March 13th is the legislative day?
I don't remember.
We'll get you. So that's the day they're asking all the members to come down for coffee and donuts in the rotunda and meet with your legislators that day. So we'll make sure we get that circulated to the board. So those are the first two bills. The third bill is a bill that basically says, that takes the state grant fund, and right now it's set at the state of Indiana can only, the maximum participation is 50%. So that's why it's always been called the 50/50. The bill would raise that to 75% state. So that you could go 75% state, 25% local. And that's because, like in the instance of a fuel system, that's almost $1 million. A lot of airports are having problems coming up with $500,000.
Right.
And so they're looking at those ratios a little bit to change that. So.
Lots of exciting things.
Yep, so that's the runway project. So I think, we gotta just keep telling the story that, hey, the FAA thinks it's a great project, environmentally it's a great project, planning-wise it's a great project. We just need somebody's money to build the project.
And so far, we're okay with all of our engineer planning. Like, we don't have any timeline right now where things are going to expire. Like, we're still good, or what do we have the next?
Yeah, that's a good point, Jeff. So the environmental technically is has a 3-year shelf life on it. So, but that 3 years, the way they count it is you have to be actively working on the project. So we actually put the land acquisition and the aviation easement in the environmental, so that counts as checkbox 1.
Okay.
We've also put in there the utility reimbursable agreements. So I think next year, depending on how things go, I really didn't want to do this with the utilities, but the utilities have paid for some of the professional services work on the utility relocation. And so we wanted the utility relocation agreements to be all one deal, like professional services and construction, all one deal. But there's nothing that says you can't pay them back for the professional services and basically have a 2-part reimbursable agreement. And that's my plan next year to have to renew the 3-year window on the program.
Just to keep it going.
Yeah, so they'll take your entitlements for next year and basically make a draw on those to pay back the sanitary district for their professional services. And then it'll add another 3 years on to the window.
I got a question, Paul.
Yeah.
If you got lucky and got the raise grant, and are we gonna put the road in and wait for FAA funding? Or do you just wait until we finally get funding and then use the money from the grant to relocate the road and the utilities?
Okay. Yeah, so there could be a little delay once you get raised money. Well, first, we're gonna ask for the whole project, knowing that the airport portion of it, the whole thing's a long shot. The airport portion is the longest shot of the whole ask. So there may be, we may get a scenario where they say, yeah, we'll fund the utilities in the road, but we're not gonna fund anything on the airport stuff, which is better than nothing, right? But then, to your point, would we do that work and then just wait? Or would we take the grant and hold the money and try to marry it up? Yeah, so that's a good question. I think we'll have to cross that bridge if it happens. There is a shelf life on the raised money, so I believe you have 5 years from the receipt of the grant to spend it all.
Okay.
So you could hold it.
It'll be close.
You could hold it, but you'd have to back off because you want to make sure all the construction's done before the end of the 5 years.
Right.
So I don't think you could hold it more than about 2 years and risk it.
Right. Well, does it make any sense to leave the airport stuff out of the raised grant request, or should we just say, I mean, if you look at it, if they look, I don't know how they look at it, but if they look at it and go, this is, they're overwhelmed by the amount, $25 million, and they go,
I think we make it clear that there is a lesser ask.
okay.
So there's the ask, and then if you can't do the ask, here's the second ask. And I think too, it might be good during the workshop to talk about, well, one, we need to map out where the 20% is going to come from. And you can see that's a healthy number. If just the road and the utilities is $3.1 million. It's
Million.
Yeah, and if you do the total project, it's $5 million.
Right.
And then what we saw last year with Raise is people who had an interesting mix of sources did better. So they like to see a little city money, economic development money, sometimes private money. If you got a little private money, it helps on the competition. So those are all things that, by the time you submit the app,
Contact old board members for donations.
so that's that. Okay, snow removal building, let's move on to that. Snow removal, that's moving along. We got, you guys approved signing the contracts and so forth on November 9th. So I got that all done with New Tech, and they're all under contract and moving. The contractual substantial completion date is September 30th, based on an April 3rd start on how many days we gave them to build the thing. They anticipate being done before September 30th, but that is their contractual date. They did submit the state design release to the state, and when I sent this out, we didn't have it back, but we got it back approved yesterday.
Oh, good. Yay.
Yeah, it was good letter. So they have their state permits, so they'll be pulling their local permits and shouldn't have any problems getting started on the foundations there on or around April 3rd. And then hopefully the rest of the materials, they're ordering those, because materials that's been an issue.
A long time, yeah.
Right.
Well, I was looking at the contract today, and I've forgotten whether we actually went with the frost wall. And it's not correct? We're not gonna get a frost wall?
No, you are. Yep.
Okay. I thought it was an option, it was in the option. It
Yeah,
was $27,000 for,
we funded all of the options.
oh, you did?
Yeah, so that total, that 553,700 has the frost wall, that has the radiant tube heating. What other options? The
Drive.
paved driveway. Yeah.
It was just those three, I think, was that just the three?
No, we did the bathroom framing and the loft framing too, which was another number. I can pull it up.
No, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, so the bathroom framing loft. So basically, the only thing you didn't get from the original was the bathroom fixtures installed. We had a driveway going around to the back of the building with another overhead door. So if you had things in the back of the building, you didn't have to pull all things out the front. You could take it out the back and go around. So we lost the driveway around with that overhead. But the way New Tech, they did it, they laid out the building exactly the way we did. They just omitted the door. So if you ever want to install that at a later time, you just put that overhead door in the back and put the driveway around.
But it'll still be probably framed up, right? We'll have the headers and all that stuff, just not a garage door.
Right.
So you just pull off the
Well,
aluminum.
if they don't know, they wouldn't frame it, would they?
Well, so it's a pole barn. So the 8x8 posts are 20 foot on center. And so you just
As long as
cut it up.
Well, I have it, yeah, I'm just thinking,
But have it
if
just
you
not
really
really be in
want,
there.
Oh, it was going to add it.
you know,
Restructure.
that wouldn't be fair to do it anyway.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe, there may be a nice tell them to do that,
I see.
to let them know that needs to be done, but they don't have to put the door in, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't think that, like the physical 2x6 frame that would hold the future door, it can be added pretty
That
easy.
can be added.
Yeah.
Yeah, besides whatever we put in there anticipating a door, maybe way different from what we, after living with it for a while, we might want it wider, smaller, whatever, taller, so.
There will be
And then the
a,
fencing.
But,
yeah, we subtracted the fencing out, so the fence basically will be in the same configuration it is now, connecting between the maintenance building and the terminal building, and then we're putting in the 20-foot wide double swing gate there at that driveway, rather than before we had the fencing coming off of the terminal building and going back to the corner of the new building, so it'd separate the auto parking lot from the maintenance facility.
And so that can be redone later too.
Oh, help me understand that, so where would the new gate be now?
It's right gonna be in between these two buildings on the actual fence we have now.
Okay.
So the maintenance building's actually gonna be on the outside of the airport fencing, not on the inside.
Okay.
And the reason we did the fence, because it's got the wildlife buried apron and it's the 10 foot and all that, that was actually a pretty healthy chunk of change.
Yeah.
$75,000.
This isn't buried though. It's only buried on the gray fence.
Great fence.
Yeah, we're not buried on this pretty,
Okay, on the
Fence.
vinyl fence.
yeah.
you mean the wildlife?
Yeah, underground. They only did, so I mean, it's not right here, but it is for the rest of it.
In any case, we cut that out with the bathroom fixtures.
Yeah, we
the
couldn't-
back Door.
Yeah, for it anyway, so.
But it's something you can.
We can add later,
easily
yeah.
Rework it, yeah. So we're in a good spot there. CIP was submitted, the fuel farm, I think we've kind of covered that. But the plan, the council did their part. So they're team players. Now we need the FA to do their part. We had submitted an ask all the way back in October, but we still haven't heard. But we more formally submitted an actual application and eligibility determination on December 1st, once the council had approved I think they approved like November, mid-November. So we submitted that and we still haven't heard back. And
You updated it in January, right?
we contact Joe about once a week. The thing of it is under the bipartisan legislation, frequently asked questions, it says that fuel systems are eligible, revenue generating projects, including fuel systems, are eligible as long as you're increasing capacity. And so that, by the frequently asked question, says it should be good. The AIP handbook says that you're only allowed to use FA dollars if you're adding a new fuel source or a new fuel type. In other words, if you already have jet and you already have a lead, you can't put in a new low lead or jet system, even if it's a replacement for an existing system that's aged. Because you should structure your pricing so that you can replace it after the 25-year, 30-year lifespan of the system is the way they look at it. But
How long do we not have to have a system for that? Can we shut it down for a month?
right, good question. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I think that's why the ADO is hesitant to just say yes, even though the bill seems very clear that fuel systems are
Yeah.
eligible. And there are certainly different rules for the bill funds than but what we don't want to do is, even though the council's made the appropriation, we don't want to start incurring costs on it and then because the council's counting on being repaid, except
Correct.
for a small portion at the end. So we really don't want to proceed until we know that the FAA is going to say yes. And Baker and Tilly responded to the council to this question and said, yes, it should be eligible, and yes, you can repay the riverboat. Our opinion is, yes, it should be eligible based on the frequently asked questions too, but I don't want to pay you back $850,000 if they say no, so I'm gonna wait.
So we had our meeting, was it November with the FAA that I was able to count?
October,
So in
right?
October, the end of the fiscal year. So is that the only time that really the FAA is gonna communicate with us about funding this thing, or we go to them every month, or what?
Joe, I mean, we can call Joe anytime.
Okay.
Our firm does.
They'll update us if something changes immediately, and like, oh,
Take a ride up there,
We found some
sit
money.
down and just,
Yeah, we used to do
COVID.
biannual meetings up there and go over and
Where are they located? DuPage? Where are they?
FAA.
DuPage.
Yes, planes.
Oh, this one, yeah, they have new offices there, okay.
Yeah, so that's that, and then the rest is just between Jessica and Andrew. You don't care about that.
I care about it. It will get taken care of before February of 2023. Promise.
Yeah.
thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Okay, we're down to whole business.
Okay.
We got the 40-acre lease across the way here, and we need to approve or disapprove the cash lease on the 40 acres over there.
Soon, you need to do that. I left it under old business because it's been there, so I'm moving anywhere else.
Right?
But here's the deal. So Larry Smith from Holderman Real Estate and Farm Management has reached out to our current farm operator, which is Gene Smith, they're not related, that has farmed on the airport-owned property south of the airfield for the last quite a few years, of course, for Tom Blank, and then moving over to the airport side for us. Now that we're past the 2022 lease issue, because, it wasn't solved and fixed before the end of the leasing season, he's moving on to the 2023 cash farming lease agreement. So he has reached out to Gene and asked him if he's interested in leasing in 2023, and he says yes, he is. So he is offering $45 an acre. The 2022 lease rate was $35 an acre. Larry says this is a modest increase and it's due to current commodity prices. It is less than most area land rents because the access to our land is not great, as we know. You're right off the highway. There's not even an entrance to and from. It's not ideal. And it's likely not accessible enough for any of other farm operators like around. So Mr. Smith asked me about the extension plans, and I told him that at this current time, 2024, I do not see, or 2023, I don't see, anything for the extension inhibiting farming that land, and not likely in 2024 either, because of course the farmer wants to know like a year in advance too. I mean, that's helpful information. So I said, no, these 2 years should be fine, but I can't project past that because I'm not really sure. We might get a Hail Mary, you never know. So Mr. Smith is working on getting the written proposal done, and he will likely have it before the board meeting in February. So then you can look it over, then ask any questions. I think he was planning on actually coming, so you can meet him, Larry Smith from Holderman Real Estate.
Okay.
But I told him that I would pass on the information that I have currently to you guys, so you have a month to just understand that, but he was pretty pleased with the $45 an acre instead of 35. He said with commodity prices, he thinks that's great.
I forgot, did we come up with a number last time? I mean, it's been a while.
You did.
Yeah, but I can't remember what it was. And
It was a bit more.
I didn't hear a number if you did come up with it.
We were talking about what the going rate was for the state of Indiana. They've got, I think Purdue or somebody came out with what each acre is valued around here.
Yeah,
It's less than that, but
But I mean, this is also a small parcel. It's not a big parcel.
That's fine, I just didn't know what,
And we
I
have
forgot
lots
what they came up with.
environmental issues on it, which we know. We've got some
Oh, okay.
water out there and there's not good access. And so that's why remember we wanted Bill to put something together, and he said, I don't deal with any of that stuff. You need to call Larry Smith from Holderman's. Yeah. So that's why I called him. And that's kind of what he does, is he does farm management for LaPorte. He does all LaPortes as well, LaPorte airports. And so he just that's what he does, is farm management leases. And so it's his job to figure out what he thinks it's worth and make sure he gets a good price for his clients, you know, so.
so we don't need to make a motion for that.
No, I don't have a proposal or anything, so I'm assuming, you know, that you wanna wait. And he doesn't start farming for a while, you know what I mean? So we have a couple months at least, but this year, we're getting it done first.
You said somebody was pleased with the 45, was that Gene Smith?
No, that's Larry Smith, who is the real estate, our management, farm management guy from Holderman.
And what's he gonna grow there? The hay or?
I honestly have no idea.
Was
He
he
does
put in
something
there?
every other year.
Yeah, I didn't
Do you
change
rotate
it.
it or something?
Soy,
remember what
he had
was
soy
last year.
before, but I don't know what he had last year.
Do you remember what the farmer had last year over there?
Beans.
Beans.
Okay. Soys.
Okay. New business.
Alright. Are we on new business already? Gosh, we're so
We have an
fast.
attorney contract.
We do. Do you guys wanna see it? Did everybody look at it? I emailed it to everybody.
I'm glad you sent it to us early.
I try my very best. Okay, so there it is. The only changes are the attorney fees. Bill's rate is going from $220 to $250 an hour. His associate rate is increasing by only $5 to $200 an hour. All other terms remain the same. And he's literally only increased his rate for us, I think, twice in like 10 years.
Okay. That's fine.
And last year, we didn't really use attorney too much. A little bit maybe, but I mean, not as much as years prior.
So what are we waiting on? What's left with Mr. Nelson and then roofing, Arnell? What do we have to do? What are we waiting on him? What type of paperwork?
Yeah, so there's a legal description that was written to swap some property, so we need, on the road lowering, basically when we go to install the utilities and the wall and everything, we need a wider right-of-way easement out by the road in front. And then their fence and their parking lot actually comes onto airport property. The airport owns part of their parking lot, and, you know, so basically that's why we don't see it as a financial issue. We're just proposing a swap. They're gonna give us the frontage at the road that we need for our project, and we're gonna give them the parking lot that they already use as a parking lot.
Okay.
It's not exactly the same acreage footprint. The parking lot is a little more than the easement at the roadway, but, you know, they're already using it as a parking lot. There's really no doubt. It's a good deal.
And we need it on both sides, obviously. We need it. Okay.
So that document's in place, it's drafted up. The Leslies have seen it. The only reason they didn't, and the senior guy who I think is transitioning the ownership to the children, he actually was agreeable to signing it. But then.
Wait, I'm sorry, he was or wasn't?
He was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But now the son's kind of taken over, and I don't know that he's not agreeable to signing it, but there was an idea, and I can't remember where it originated, but the idea was rather than build a maintenance facility, can we do a land swap, because we have some surplus land on the north end, can we swap some land around and take RL Roofing's facility, use it as a maintenance facility, and then in exchange, we would give them a new piece of ground to build on. The issue was Kirk and Jessica and I went and looked at it, and it's not really suitable for our needs. The doors aren't big enough, the ceiling's not high enough, and it's really compartmentalized into these little.
It's kind of a Rube
Probably
Goldberg.
better just to start from scratch. We needed something to build a thing to our own space.
Exactly. So we're really not interested in swapping for the property anymore. If they want to buy that ground up north, we can still talk to them about that. But we're back to the original. Let's just swap this,
Yeah.
get it signed.
Well, at least you guys looked into it to try to see if it would work. So
We did.
We walked through.
That's nice.
We can always get the access across the property if you condemned it, right? I mean, for the utilities. I mean,
Oh, yeah. I mean,
you think that would be, the cost could be 100,000 or something, but.
I doubt it. I mean, if we got it appraised and all that jazz.
But we're just trying to be able to leave.
But then we, you know, if they want to play hardball, then we say, okay, you don't have any parking anymore.
Right.
So,
And they need it.
and they need it.
They do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing the easement's probably only worth about 10 grand. He probably spent 20 grand in legal fees taking them to court. to get it.
Well, I think it's pretty much slow right now. I mean, it's something we should probably just try to get wrapped up within the next month, because it's kind of sitting there for a while, right? Or
Yeah, nothing.
so should I have Bill, or one of us reach out to Bill and then have him try to finish
Yeah.
this?
Let's approve his lease, his contract.
Yeah, before we reach out to them, let's make sure we have a current lease.
I'll make a motion to
No,
approve.
we want the old rates.
Yeah, right?
That's what I'm trying to.
Do I have a second?
A second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries on the attorney contract, thank you. And, okay, then we're down to the hangar rental.
Yes.
For Flight Saga.
Flight Saga, they would like a hangar rental lease renewal for 852. I sent over last year's lease to everybody. I did ask Thor if he had any changes to it, and he said he does not. He doesn't have any changes to request. It's the same as last year. The only update I did was change the dates of the term of the lease from January 1st of this year till December 31st of this year. Also, he will be at next, hopefully, he's gonna try and come to the February meeting, just so we can give kind of a recap of 2022 for Flight Saga, and let us know how it went last year. He said if he can't make it, he'll send me something so I can at least report to the board on that. But he's gonna try and come to person. So, there it is.
All right, so, thank you. The question is, should we leave the lease at $600 a month, or, you know, they're a new business, and we want to see their success, and
We should reduce it. Has he done anything? I'm here, I don't see any flights going up, like flight school should be busy, I don't see anything happening, so maybe we can reduce it to 550 rather than 600. I'm just thinking, burden, he's got a burden right now, and
I think he's pretty happy actually with how things are
I'm
going.
doing it right.
I think we should keep it the same. Last time I reached out to him, he says they can't get enough instructors, like they're swamped looking for more aircraft and stuff. He's been very happy with us.
And he just got his new RV, right? Didn't that just fly in recent?
I don't think it got here yet, did it? I don't think
I
so.
haven't seen anything, really, I mean,
Well, yeah, I mean,
Recent, like in
he's,
the last-
yeah, he
That's
has a
great.
lot,
Yeah.
he does have a lot of, plane rentals too. So, I mean, his planes are used
He's got a good
pretty
flying
often.
yeah.
Got a 152. He's upgrading it to a glass cockpit.
So,
I know
yeah.
the two people that use it
Tom,
frequently.
I know you know.
Tom and then the Belgian physical therapist
Yes.
that uses it.
Are they happy?
They're very happy. I'm just thinking, you know, that stuff was set up for flight school, right? So you want to see that flight business moving. And I'm thinking, man, this guy, even though he's got rentals, I mean, counterintuitively, people would think, let's raise it to 650 or something like that. But I'm thinking, he's got a burden. You know, he's still trying to make it work.
Yeah.
I think 2023 is his year to.
Well, I think that's very nice to consider that, but I think wouldn't he come to us if he really?
Well, yeah, he would, but people are kind of diplomatic. I mean, he's not going to come and tell you.
I think a lot of
He
people
thinks
are
that it's a
increasing
steal.
right now, like a lot. I think we're doing a great job.
He thinks the hangar rental price is a steal,
I
I'll
think
tell
it's
you
a
right
steal.
now.
So his issue is he can't secure instructors. So I have a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, that he joined the flying club, and his daughter wants to be flying lessons. I think they did like one in August, and she tried to continue,
And that's
but
just
the availability of instructors, you know, it was very difficult to secure. So hopefully that changes this next year.
2023,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'd support Chris. Let's keep it at 600 for right now.
Sure.
But,
Do I have a motion to approve the A5-2 rental lease with Flight Saga in the amount of $600 per month?
I'll make that motion.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Correspondence? Oh, claims docket, excuse me.
Don't forget that.
I don't see anything unusual on the claims docket, except for the huge amount we're paying to BF&S. So.
Yep, we paid a ton of money to you this last month.
Cool. It's like golf. Every shot makes somebody happy.
Well, the thing is with Paul's invoices is his invoices aren't paid like a normal monthly. It's like as like FAA gives us pay requests and as we put in stuff in. So it's like we might have invoices sitting there for 3, 4, 5, 7 months waiting to get paid because we're waiting for the FAA and pay requests for Andrew to do. And so the only thing I really pay on time is the master services agreements because that comes right out of our budget.
Shouldn't we be paying him for inconvenience also?
Well, he inconveniences me.
So Paul gets paid on the amount of grants that we receive.
Yes,
Correct.
that's true. The amount of pay requests that Andrew puts in is how often he gets paid.
Right.
It's gonna be pretty lean over the next few.
I know, right?
I'll keep showing up until we get some more money. That's right.
And you'll get your bill.
Oh my
They'll be eating
God.
spam
at the Schaefer House.
Waiting for the docket, so I make a motion for the $86,543.90.
Second, anybody?
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries, and we're down to correspondence.
Greg, did you second that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
We have received, no, actually, we did receive correspondence. Something with taxes, but that goes to the controller's office. It's nothing saying like, we're doing a great job out here or anything. It's just, we need money, right?
Okay,
This is the minutes
So,
for November, just saying that they were approved.
Oh, same.
public comment.
Yeah, Senator, minutes
Oh, here.
approved, your name, and then the date.
So I'd like to say that 2023, maybe we should make collective effort to bring some activities to the airport. Some activity, I don't know what we want to do, but maybe invite, aviators from Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio to come here for a day or something, just like
A fly-in?
a fly-in of some sort.
Well, we haven't done the pancake breakfast,
In 2 years.
Not 2 years.
Yeah, we haven't done that.
That'd be nice. I think this seems like a pretty good day here, but I think that it's a good idea that we should have more events, that bring people in and,
Might be in the middle of your construction. unless it's
Yeah,
pushed
I mean, and
in.
part of the reason that we are doing another maintenance hangar too is so this opens up for events. So we actually have a space to have events that isn't a dirty old maintenance hangar. I mean, that's kind of part of the reason that we're moving all the stuff somewhere else, so we can pull in, aircraft, for overnights, things like that. So this will open up to, be able to have more.
But yeah, a flying is not gonna have any impedance on construction.
No, I don't think so. I think we just,
Between us, I mean, we could raise the funds easily, like we used to do. Dave Gallion and I used to support the Oshkosh crowd, with maybe $50 together, 100, 150. And, buy the hot dogs for them, and that was kind of nice when we did it. So a fly-in would be really cool to have people come in for a day. We could have seminars on things, whatever it is. I mean, there are people willing to talk about current aviation kinds of things that are happening, so, and we could do that once every year, maybe 2 events every year.
Well, that brings up something too. If we're a big event like Oshkosh, it's a huge amount of traffic coming overhead. And do we advertise, is there any way to get notice to the Oshkosh crowd that we have something special awaiting for them, so they come down here and...
yeah, we do that every year.
We could do that. I
Yeah.
mean, beyond just giving them hot dogs, I mean, we could do a bunch more things for them. Like LaPorte does that.
Yeah,
Diane does.
but that'd be the kind of thing, because, an awful lot of those airplanes you're never gonna see probably again in your life, or unless you really search them out. So, I mean, if the general public knows that in this period of time, if you wanna come out and see some weird stuff come flying in, hopefully fly out, this would be the time to do so. And if you could have something, it'd be like a pancake breakfast for, well, not a pancake breakfast, just an event for other people to come see the people coming through for Oshkosh. Do you have any idea how many we would normally see that were actually from Oshkosh, especially on the way in?
It's our busiest week of the year. So we have all kinds of stuff.
Like
A lot of times though, last year was not as good because we didn't have self-service fuel. That's a huge one because a lot of them are flying after hours, they're flying early mornings, it's like, because the whole thing is Oshkosh fills up. So you need to get there like 5 a.m. before everyone else gets there, you know what I mean? So it's like the busiest time really is like before business hours and after business hours, because it's people going for the day all day long and then coming home after the day all day long, It's like not a lot of people are flying in the middle of the day to go. We have a lot like the weekend before and the weekend after because they'll camp beforehand and they're there 3 days waiting for the event, and then they'll camp after and then come back through. It's our busiest week of the year for fuel sales and everything. Every year, it's our busiest week of the year. Is Oshkosh Week.
But they have a PBR, don't they you have to have a landing slot, do you not, to go in there?
Well, that's if you're staying there, like if you're landing there, staying there for a couple of days. So
Yeah.
usually, order all of that stuff. But some people come in here and then they go there for a day and fly right back out.
But I mean, even if they're just going for the day, don't they have to, you just can't show up on 5 miles out and go, hey, I want to land, can you? I don't think you can.
I think you UPR.
I think you do. I mean, I've only been there once, and I remember we had a slot, and you get on your star, and here you come.
Yeah.
We do have another gentleman too, Johnny Stimley, he's the one that did the drone camp out here. He was waiting on his nonprofit, but he finally did get that paperwork in, so he definitely wants to have an aviation event this year.
Good. Yeah, I still think we should
That will be
be
great.
doing something here.
I think reaching out to John Stimley, and then also that gentleman that does the events for the planning for the city. And those two,
Yep, Jerry Crew.
those guys would be great with ideas and possible funding and helping us out because they know what's going on.
And I think there's a possibility that we could involve like the local food people. They have these food carts that they can bring in, like during Oshkosh Week.
Yeah.
We could probably contract with somebody and say, hey, we're not gonna pay you, but if you wanna make some money and then be present for a number of hours for these aviators flying in and out, that would be interesting. And then let the community know that this food court is here. They can come in too, see airplanes, hang out, and then give some business to these individuals, right?
We do. Rio has got a, is it Rio's? Rio? They've got a food truck, and then Renamax has one, the green truck. And then also maybe reach out to some of those microbrewers. There's some of those guys have their stuff too. You can like go food fest or something.
Well, for the guys who come,
People come and watch. So people take it off the landing or something like that. At least something different to not go down to the local place and have some beers. They can come out here, watch some airplanes, take off.
I think the barbecue place right there down the road too, they have theirs out every day, Social Q or.
That's a great one.
I eat at Rio's every day.
so I think we should, Jeff, now, we should really think about that, and I did, this year I was back again in Missouri for our annual thing, and I talked to a lot of the pilots there, and they're willing to fly here. These are the Zenit folks, right?
Yeah.
But we've got to have something for them. I don't know what, but we've got to have something that they can come into, and then for about 3, 4, 5 hours of a day, we could be doing something and have the community join in. So I think that highlights the airport too, and kind of like, so.
Okay.
It'd be better if it was a ribbon cutting ceremony with a new runway. That would be ideal.
Well, he's just made president, he's already a dreamer, so.
Think big, go home.
There you go. Do we have any other business?
No.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion that we adjourn.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.